In our top story, Oakbay has hit back at Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan's replying affidavit. Oakbay says that Gordhan's affidavit is a case of reverse victim syndrome. The company says that Pravin Gordhan proactively came after them and smeared their name with a flawless list of transactions and is now questioning the Oakbay response. Now, they lament the fact that their bank accounts continue to remain closed without evidence. Oakbay further asserts that they never suggested that the minister intervene in the bank-customer relationship and say that Gordhan's application is an effort to involve the judiciary to settle political scores. Earlier, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan replied to the strongly worded Oakbay affidavit. In his affidavit, Gordhan argues that Oakbay's reasons to oppose the affidavit do not hold. He called the Oakbay plea inconsistent. Gordhan says it is the exclusive remit of the courts to determine the issue of legality. Gordhan also claimed that the Oakbay application is contradictory in that it seeks a probe and decisive action against the banks on one hand and the illegality of executive intervention on the other hand. And here are Gordhan's key arguments for the court to give the declaratory order. Firstly, Gordhan claims that since Oakbay wants a probe into the banks, whether the finance minister is authorized to do so or not is an important issue. Secondly, he states that only a court can decide if the executive can order a probe and decisive action against banks. And finally, he says that continued threats against banks, specifically when they are only discharging their national and international obligations, is prejudicial to the country's economy. In his affidavit, Gordhan also has taken on Oakbay's claims that he called on industry leaders to clip the Gupta family wings in a meeting at Santon on January the 29th last year. The minister says that while he did attend the meeting, he doesn't recall referring to the Gupta family. He says the meeting took place on the request of business leaders and he did not discuss any conspiracy against the Gupta brothers. He added that he did not say that the Gupta wings should be clipped. To recap the issues involved, my colleague Audrey Chimwanda takes us through what Oakbay's affidavit said and the minister's response.
Oakbay says that separation of power prevents courts from stepping into executive domain. Of course, saying that Gordhan's defense, they're saying separation of powers argument is untenable. It is the court's job to determine issues of legality. Oakbay's affidavit continues to say that application will open floodgates for weak-kneed politicians that are too scared to make sensitive decisions. They'll always run to the courts. Gordhan's defense says executive intervention in financial sector is hardly a sensitive matter and executive is constrained by the law, seemingly answering the issue of separation of power, saying that his hands are still tied by the law and that is the relief that he was seeking from the courts. Oakbay's affidavit says minister's reliance on the list of the 72 purported suspicious transactions reports is misplaced. If you will remember, Finance Minister had attached an FIC report with his supposedly transactions that are suspicious to the court, and he says that the FIC certificate not to institute allegations of impropriety but to prove existence of a transaction report. Again, these transactions have not been proven to be illegal in any way. Oakbay's affidavit goes on to say that Gordhan's application is politically motivated and that they aimed at destroying Oakbay's business. This is the stance of Oakbay. In response, Gordhan says, I'm not motivated by malice and I'm not the author of any grand plot against the Guptas. And the last point we have here from Oakbay's affidavit, Gordhan told industry captains on the 29th of January at a meeting that Gupta wings need to be clipped. In his response, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan says he does admit that he attended a meeting, but he does not recall referring to Gupta family or using those particular words. Perhaps a memory lapse there for the Finance Minister, not emphatically denying that he did mention the Gupta family or not, but rather choosing the words that he does not recall.